I'm not against science, folks, but I'm telling you, there's some poison mixed in with our science books. And that's what I want to show you today. I'm not against the science, I'm against the poison part. Here's a first grade textbook. They tell the kids in first grade, the Earth has changed much since its formation 4.5 billion years ago. Now just hold on a minute. Is the Earth 4.5 billion years old? No, as we'll see in a minute. But if you tell that to a first grader, he's going to believe you. First graders believe everything you tell them. They believe bananas are moldy spider legs. I did. And then tell them again in second grade, since its formation 4.5 billion years ago, Earth has changed. Down here it says, life too has evolved on Earth. This word evolved is a very tricky word. I've had 77 debates now at universities. I've learned how to win the debate in the first 5 minutes. If somebody says, do you believe in evolution? I simply say, what do you mean? Because there are 6 different meanings to that word. You let them define exactly what they mean and you probably believe in it. Because one of the 6 meanings is indeed scientific and I do believe in it. 5 of them are not scientific. They're silly. But they mix them all together like it's some kind of package deal and you got to buy them all at the same time. This is how they confuse the kids. It's so simple. Now watch this. The first meaning of the word evolution would have to be cosmic evolution. Somewhere, somehow, time, space, and matter have to come into existence. The Bible answers that in 10 words. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In the beginning, that's time. Time has 3 dimensions, past, present, future. You know, you can't be any place and be outside of time. It permeates everything. In the beginning, God created the heaven. Heaven is 3 dimensions, length, width, height. And earth, matter has 3 dimensions, solid, liquid, gas. A trinity of trinities in only 10 words. You know, you can't have any one of those without the other 2. If you had matter but had no space, where would you put it? If you had matter and space but had no time, when would you put it? Those 3 come into existence simultaneously. The Big Bang Theory has to try to answer that. It's a dud. We'll talk about that in a minute. But you have to have what we call cosmic evolution. Secondly, there would have to be chemical evolution. If the Big Bang Theory is true, the Big Bang produced hydrogen and maybe some helium. Well, then how did we get all these other elements? People say, oh, it's done by fusion. Yeah, you can't get past iron with fusion. Better study that one out. Thirdly, we'd have to have what's called stellar evolution. The stars would have to evolve. Did you know nobody's ever seen a star forming? We see stars blow up all the time. It's called a nova or a supernova if it's a big one, but nobody's ever seen one form. One atheist I debated said, oh, we see a star forming right now in Crab Nebula. I said, no, you don't. You see a spot getting brighter. You are assuming a star is forming. It could be the dust is clearing and there's a star behind it. Nobody's ever proven the formation of one star. And yet there's enough stars out there that we know about that everybody on planet Earth can personally own 2 trillion of them to yourself. Those are the ones we know about. We don't know about the ones that we don't know about. Fourthly, there would have to be organic evolution. Somewhere, somehow, life has to get started from non-living material. The evolutionist is stuck with a very embarrassing position. He still believes in spontaneous generation, even though it was proven wrong 200 years ago. They're way behind the time in their science. Then we'd have to have what we call macroevolution. This is where an animal changes to a different kind of animal. Nobody's ever seen a dog produce a non-dog. You may get a big dog or a little dog, but you get a dog every time. And it could be that the dog, the wolf, and the coyote had a common ancestor. I wouldn't argue about that. But they're the same kind of animal. And every 5-year-old kid knows they are. Is anybody in here 5 years old? Who's 5 or 6? Yes, sir. Way at the back. What's his name? Sal. Seth? Sal. How do you spell that? S-A-L. Sal. Okay, Sal, I want you to take a test here, buddy. Here we have a dog, a wolf, a coyote, and a banana. Which one is not like the others? Sal? The banana. Let's give him a hand. All right. Very good. This kid's 5 years old. He can figure it out. We got college professors that can't figure it out. They think everything's all the same kind. Yeah. The Bible says they're going to bring forth after their kind, not after their species. Darwin's book was The Origin of Species. That's not even what the argument's about. What's the origin of kinds? That's where the argument ought to be. And a kind is those that can bring forth. That's how you determine what a kind is. A horse and a zebra can bring forth. A horse and a banana cannot. Lastly, we have what is called microevolution. I don't like that word. I think it confuses people, okay? But they call it microevolution. Okay, I think it ought to be called just a variation. Whatever you call it, it happens. Variations within the kind happen, folks. Some pretty bizarre variations. You know, big dogs and little dogs. No question. Variations happen. That one is scientific. It should not be called any kind of evolution, but they do it, so okay, we'll call it. The first 5 are purely religious. That's not part of science. The teachers are taught in their teachers' manuals, be sure to stress that the earth is billions of years old. Make sure the kids believe this. Now, I happen to be a little old-fashioned. I think in science class we should be teaching science. Things we can observe and study and test and demonstrate. Things like the first law of thermodynamics, which tells us matter cannot be created or destroyed. Well, everything's made out of matter, so if matter cannot be created or destroyed, how did the world get here? We're here, you know. So that leaves only 2 choices. Somebody made the world, or the world made itself. There's no other choice. Well, there are a few out there on the lunatic fringe who will tell you, we're not really here at all. We just think we're here. Okay, you can forget about those folks. We are here. So either somebody made the world like the Bible says, in the beginning God created the heaven and the earth, or the world made itself like the humanists believe. Well, if the world just made itself, how did it get here? Well, the devil thought about that for a long time.